Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado. And this is the winter 2022-2023 seasonal climate summary. So we're moving into 2023. We've got a new color palette. Yeah, let's get going. So, story of the months. So this will be kind of a recap of the 3 stories of the month for the winter season. So that would be from December 1st through to February 28th. So we'll be talking about December, January, and February. So starting with December, we've got the mid-month Arctic air mass. Considering how cold the winter season has been, this doesn't feel quite as memorable as it did when it happened, but we did have a pretty brutal Arctic air mass move in the middle of December. And so the month of December, as I mentioned, is the beginning of meteorological winter, and it did not wait to remind everyone about that. So we set up with an unsettled, colder pattern. We started to see snow in the mountains by the end of the month, and we saw snow in the valleys as well. And the other thing was we started seeing these reinforcing blasts of cold Arctic air. This situation wasn't necessarily record-setting cold, but it was definitely unusual cold. And we saw the period from the 16th of December through the 19th with low temperatures in the single digits above zero, all the way down into the negative 20s. And as expected, Craig was our coldest spot of the period, at least among our 10 climate sites, with a morning low of negative 21 on the 19th. So considering the year that we've had, going right into this very cold, very winter pattern was a little bit of a shock to the system. Moving into January, again, the cold just does not end. We saw a late month cold snap. This was the big one. From January 30th through to the 31st, we had a very special combination of events occur across northeast Utah and northwest Colorado, where a storm had just gone through, put down a fresh layer of snow, and then behind this cold front that pushed through, skies cleared out very, very, very quickly. So we ended up with clear sky, fresh snow, and we had some cold air advection going on behind the cold front, i.e. we were having cold air move from north of us down into the area. So not only were we getting cold air from somewhere else, but we were also generating our own cold air through particularly strong radiational cooling, in that the skies were clear, there was fresh snow, there was really nothing to hold warm air at the surface. So it just all escaped into the atmosphere, and we saw temperatures plummet. Our coldest spot was actually Maybell in Colorado, which got down to negative 44 that morning. But we also saw negative 41 in Craig, we saw negative 22 in Hayden, negative 31 in Meeker, and even places that didn't necessarily see this particularly brutal cold still got pretty darn cold, with 12 in Cortez, 12 in Durango, 16 in Cortez, 19 in Moab. Telluride saw 14. It was cold across the board, but across the north it was particularly rough. But we did see quite a bit of moderation that day, where temperatures across the north did at least climb towards the 0 or single digits above. And we saw temperatures along and south of the I-70 corridor actually make it up into the teens and 20s, which comparatively, that's an impressive diurnal swing, you know. And then our last story of the month for February, continuing on with this "it's been a real winter" trend, we saw snow squalls. The month of February continued on being cold and stormy, not a big surprise considering. We saw several strong winter storms blow through. We saw cold temperatures following those storms. We saw dips into the negatives again, although nothing quite like that January 31st cold snap. But what we did see were several days of snow squalls. Some of them happened at the beginning of the month, like around the 7th and the 8th, and then we also had another day near the end of the month on February 22nd, where we had the potential for snow squalls across the entire Grand Junction County warning area, all the way from the Green and Colorado rivers in the east to the Continental Divide. Wait, reverse that. all the way from the Green and Colorado rivers in the west to the Continental Divide in the east, from the Wyoming border in the north to the Four Corners in the south, we saw the potential for snow squalls. And indeed, we saw them. This is one such snow squall that occurred in southwest Colorado. It moved through Cortez into Mancos towards Durango, all along the Highway 160 corridor here. And this image actually from near Cortez shows just kind of how nasty this little snow squall was, creating whiteout conditions, covering the roads with snow, making travel difficult, making the roads slick, visibility poor. Not a fun time to be out driving, and you could say that for probably just about any day of the month of February. Not a fun time to be out traveling, although unfortunately travel is a necessity sometimes. Moving through our winter 2022-2023 high temperatures. The highest highs we saw were 57 in Cortez on the 1st of December, 57 in Montrose on the 5th of February, 56 in Canyonlands on January 10th and February 21st, 53 in Grand Junction, both at the beginning of the season on December 1st and 2nd, and at the end of the season on February 12th. We saw 52 in Rifle on December 1st and 2nd, 51 in Durango on the 1st of December, 48 in Aspen on the 1st of December, 47 in Craig on the 1st of December, 47 in Meeker on the 1st and 4th of December, and then 38 in Vernal on the 2nd of February. So a bit scattershot as far as the temperatures are concerned, although you can see that overall the warmest period of our the season was actually the very beginning of December. We've been unusually cold. Fun fact about Vernal, this 38-degree day was actually the first time that they had climbed above the freezing point in over a month at that point. They hadn't seen 32 or better since sometime in mid-January. They've been trapped in that inversion all winter long, and yeah, my heart goes out to you guys. I don't know if I could stand it being quite that cold. Winter 2022-2023 low temperatures. So all of these are going to be clustered around the end of January and early February because these were our two most potent cold snaps. So starting with our coldest temperatures, we have Canyonlands on the 16th of February with 2 degrees, Grand Junction same day with 1, Montrose same day with -6, Cortez same day and also the day after the 17th of February with -8, Rifle on that 31st of January that I mentioned with a -8. Aspen being a little unusual here with -12 on both December 17th and February 6th. Durango on the 26th of January with -14. Vernal with that January 31st and February 1st time period with -20. Meeker with the 31st and a -31. And Craig with our big winter cold temperature on the 31st of January with a -41. It was cold out there, guys. Precip though, good news. We had all but one site come in with above normal precipitation for the season overall. Meeker was our big winner with 5.17 inches season total, and this was almost 2.5 inches above normal. As far as departures are concerned, actually Rifle was our big winner here with coming in at just under 5 inches, and they were over 3 inches above normal. Good on them. And we saw quite a bit of this, around an inch to Rifle's big old 3-inch above normal precipitation, kind of highlighting that we really have seen an unusually wet winter as well as an unusually cold winter, especially towards the south. You can kind of see that in Durango and Cortez here, because towards the end of this winter season, we started seeing those really wet southerly storms slamming into the San Juan Mountains and just bringing very widespread, very heavy precipitation across the area, whether it was a lot of snow or just concrete, snow that measured in inches that had a very high water content relative to it. The only one who came in below normal this month was Aspen. They came in about 1/3 of an inch below normal with just under 2.5 inches. And then Canyonlands, despite coming in with a above normal departure, is the last in our ranking with just over 1.5 inches of precipitation for the winter. But I mean, that makes sense. This is kind of their dry season. Yeah. So our spring drought tendency outlook. Good news again. So if you've been keeping up with my monthly videos, you know that we've seen quite a lot of improvement across western Colorado, insofar as we basically have no drought left other than a few patches of normally dry category. As far as that's not going to change, at least per this outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. What we are looking at more of is eastern Utah, where we're looking at drought removal likely for portions of our area. A little bit of drought persisting across southeast Utah. That's liable to change as well. We'll see. Yeah, good news. As far as the spring outlook per CPC, we are actually looking at overall equal chances of above or below normal temperatures across most of western Colorado and eastern Utah, with just a little bit of a slight leaning towards above normal temperatures across the south and a slight leaning towards below normal temperatures across the north. Call it equal chances across the whole area. As far as precipitation is concerned, we're moving more towards spring. Typically in the spring season, we start to see a back off from this winter precipitation. We see a little bit of a drying out, and that is kind of what this is indicating here, with the southern half of the area leaning towards below normal precipitation, while the northern half of the area is looking at equal chances of above or below normal precipitation. And these are these outlooks are based on the fact that partially that we are starting to move out of a La Nina season and into more ENSO neutral conditions. So instead of seeing that very typical La Nina spring pattern where we're very dry, very warm, we're starting to see something a little bit more, could go either way, as we start to see our climatic forcings change. And so that's it until next season, when I give you the spring rundown. I'll be interested, probably as much as you are, to see what happens this spring, considering the cold and wet winter we've seen so far. If we can keep this going, that'll be good news going into the warm season. But it also means that as an office, we're going to continue being busy. So my apologies for these videos if they do end up being a little bit later than normal. I can only do so much as one person. Thanks for your understanding. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it a lot. And here's to spring season climate summary in a couple months. Thanks.